We're here during our monthly vlog that goes on our YouTube page. And it's funny how a lot of people are calling and shooting messages to me now asking, how did I get into this? How did all this happen? Sometimes I have to look around and I can't even give a straight answer. I don't know how I got here. I do, but it was a dream or a design move back in the middle '80s when I decided to think that I was an entrepreneur. Oddly enough, my background is I actually graduated with an accounting degree and worked for a great accounting firm in Morristown that also had offices in New York. And oddly enough, and he's still a friend to this day, one of the partners took a liking to me, realized that I wasn't happy. One, I hated the commute from Bayonne into the city every day. It was just an awful experience for me. It wasn't something I enjoyed. And of course, I was always assigned there rather than the Morristown office. But he took a liking to me, and to this day, we're still friends. We keep in touch. And he knew I was unhappy, so his thought process was, Joe, why don't you consider marketing or sales or something like that? Because I always had a good relationship with my clients and people. And oddly enough, I went through a really rough divorce, and I decided, well, listen, let me try something new. And a buddy of mine who was in the life insurance business said, listen, you got all this accounting background. Why don't you come do the taxes and review the taxes of these financial plans? And I thought to myself, okay, let me take a look at this. And I started to look at some of these insurance agents, and not to battle or beat up my industry, but a lot of these guys really didn't know what they were talking about. They were just following the rules through the life insurance companies. So I said, all right, let me try this. I'll go get my insurance license and we'll see how it goes. And so I passed my life and health insurance license. I went to work for a company called State Mutual, who taught me how to cold call and do all this banging away and sell. And even that wasn't for me. I couldn't stand the cold calling and the beating up of clients and you must buy now. It just wasn't for me. So as we started to grow a little bit, I was selling. I was doing what I could. I didn't have a lot of bills at the time. This is early 1985, I think it was. And then really, this is the most important thing. I ended up buying a boat. See, I grew up in Point Pleasant Beach in the summers as a true Benny from Bayonne, but my parents had a house like 8 houses from Jenkinson's in Point Pleasant Beach. So every summer I grew up there as a kid. And of course, every summer there was the Benihana at the time, or the Hennessy Grand Prix. Even I'll date myself that far. And so the Hennessy Grand Prix was going, and every year I saw these race boats and all the parties and all the excitement, and it was a lot of fun, and I got caught up in it, frankly. I was working on the beach, I was working on the boardwalk every summer, so I got to see all this going on. And so I said, I'm going to get myself one of these boats, and I ended up buying a 22-foot Donzi Criterion, which was a 1980, I think it was. It was set up like a cigarette boat, and I realized I couldn't find insurance for it. And when I did find insurance, it was like $5,000. I think I paid $12 for the boat. So I started saying, somebody's got to have coverage for this. Look at all these boats going up and down the Manasquan River and the ocean. Who's doing all this stuff? And at the time, there were not a lot of guys doing this. So I did a little research. I contacted Lloyd's, and I realized I had to get my P&C license. So I went and got my license, and I was a full-fledged insurance agent. And I started to get contracts with these insurance companies that would do high-performance boats, because that was my true love. I never even thought about sport fishing boats and center consoles, none of that stuff. It wasn't something that I was even considering at the time. Who knew? So I started to do this, and I really got good at it because I really knew the boats. I mean, I had to learn my way around my own boat, and I learned how to use this boat and how to insure them, and I knew the questions and the answers that the clients were asking. Nobody really knew it. So there was, a few guys in the area that were good and had experience in yacht and boat insurance. And I'm not saying I was the only one out there, but I was the new kid on the block, and I made a lot of noise because I was, I knew how to market, I knew how to get my name out there. And when I did that, that's when things changed for us. There were a couple stages in our business. I mean, we started as just a plain old insurance agency. We were selling home and auto and life insurance and everything, which we still do somewhat to this day, but only for our boat and yacht insurance clients. But as we grew, we got this reputation to become a boat and yacht insurance expert. And so we got more and more insurance companies. We have more and more carriers and opportunity for our clients. And we got licensed on the East Coast. And we really focused on that because we knew what we were doing. Where it kind of took a turn was about 15 years ago. Clients kept asking me, "Hey Joe, can you help me get service for my boat? Can you get me parts for my boat?" And I would refer out all these different local guys that I knew who were doing this stuff. And the interesting thing was that none of them were referring insurance business to me. So I don't know if I got mad or it was a stupid move. And I said, well, if they're not going to refer me, I'm going to do this stuff because my clients need the service. They expect me to give them answers. I'm going to give them the service. So we got into that side of the business. Initially, we opened up an entire boat dealership. And many of you who've known me for the last 20 years or so know that we had a big shop on Manahawkin Road. I had 6 techs, 7, 8 trucks. We serviced 600 boats a year. We actually became a premier Mercury dealer at the time. We were selling parts and storage. But the biggest problem was that I was focusing on that and I lost sight of watching my insurance agency. I was kind of let the inmates run the asylum, as they say. And although I had some pretty decent staff over the years, nobody really serviced it the way I expected it. My wife was home with the babies now, so she wasn't even in the office. And, everybody knows Sherry, but, so she wasn't there. I was running around selling spark plugs and picking up boats and all that, to the point where I realized it was a loss leader. We were getting our heads handed to us financially. It really wasn't a great move for us. Learned my lesson, closed the shop, and went back to focus on the 2 or 3 things that I knew were, 1, we were really good at, and 2, we were able to service our clients the proper way. And that was obviously the boat and yacht insurance, but more importantly, the boat and yacht brokerage. So those 2 items were 1, they were profitable, and 2, we were really good at it, and we serviced our clients the proper way. So with all that said, over now, going on almost 39 years ago, we morphed into this new, I want to call it new, but this Campus Santa Marine Center idea of doing boat and yacht insurance as well as boat and yacht brokerage. Of course, we're in a marina. We have a great relationship with Safe Harbor here in Manasquan. They have service techs, slips, storage, and we help our clients keep their boats here and service it, but we're out of the loop on that. We just refer out and we maintain, and we do a bit of a management on our clients' boats, especially the boats that are here for brokerage sale. So, but that's how all this has morphed into it. We have lots of followers. We have great staff now. In fact, all my entire family's in the business now. We have my wife still, Sherry. She runs the background of customer service, and my youngest, Anthony, is a licensed insurance agent. He likes the marine insurance side of it, but he also likes to help out in the brokerage. Joey, my oldest, who grew up in the marina, he still helps out. He also does some part-time work at West Marine, so we have a parts connection now. And we have 2 young brokers in Kevin Kovalich and Jason Sokol, who do a great job. They're both licensed captains. So we have the infrastructure in place, and at this point, I'm comfortable enough knowing that we have a real good direction and that we can service our clients the proper way. And that's really how the story went. There was a lot of twists and turns and ups and downs when I had hair, when I lost all my hair. The hair went with the ego, so pretty much you all know who I am and what I'm about. Just to thank you for being a client of ours. This is part of our vlog. I know I post different things now, but Obviously, if you have any questions about boat and yacht insurance, or you want to buy or sell your boat, we're the guys to call. Hope everybody enjoyed this video, and hopefully it gets it out a little bit about me.